Get your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.
To use the brush tool, first select it from the Tools palette and make sure that the color that you want to apply to the image is selected as the foreground color. We'll make sure we have that selected. We'll select a new foreground color, a nice blue, and click OK. Then make sure that you've selected the appropriate layer to which you want to add the brush strokes selected over in the Layers panel over here. The highlighted layer is the one to which the brush strokes will be applied. Now oftentimes if you're trying to apply an effect and it doesn't appear in the image, you have the wrong layer selected in the image. In this case, for this example, we're using this blank canvas we created, which only has a background layer, so we don't need to worry about that right now. We'll look at that a little bit later. So to use the brush tool, you just click and drag in your image to paint. Now the circle that appears represents the width of your brush. If the lines aren't appearing as you wish, remember that you can reverse your steps in the History panel and try again, or we can just click Undo. Now let's look up here in the Options bar. With the brush tool selected, you can set different options that affect how the brush will interact with the underlying layer of the image. Once you've created a brush that you use frequently, you can save it as a preset tool that you can then access in the future with all of the brush options that you have already set. To do this, click the Brush Presets palette, located right here, and then click the small right pointing arrow right here and select Preset Manager. Now you can always get there from the menu bar by selecting Edit and Preset Manager. That will do the same thing. You use the preset drop down right here to select the brush preset. Make sure that's selected versus swatches or gradients. In this dialog box, you can select your brushes, rename, edit, save brushes you've created, and even load custom brush sets, such as those in TeachUComp Incorporated's Photoshop Brush Bonanza. The More button, located right here, allows you to change the display of the presets, changing the display to lists, thumbnails, etc. We'll click out of there for now. Now you can also control the size of the brush that you're using. You use the brush size slider to set the width of the brush tip you'll use to paint. That's located right here. You click on the slider and drag it to the desired location. Now if you prefer, you can simply go into the text box and type in a value instead. Next, you use the Mode drop-down located right here to determine how the brush will apply the color and interact with the color of the pixels it's painting over. There are several color modes that we'll examine in the next section. After that, you use the Opacity drop-down slider to set the transparency level of the paint that you're using by clicking on the slider and dragging it, or of course setting your own value in the text box that's appearing. Now if you want to use the current brush tool as an airbrush, click the Airbrush tool right here, and that will allow you to apply gradual tones to an image simulating an airbrush technique. Turn it off by clicking it again. You use the Tablet Options button, located right here, to set preferences for what can be controlled with the pen of most pressure-sensitive digitizing tablets. These optional hardware devices allow you to paint with a pen tool in your hand instead of using the mouse and keyboard. Now under Brush Dynamics right here, which is more options in version 7.0, you can imitate different brush strokes and effects by changing what's called the brush dynamics, which we discuss in more detail in the next chapter. After you've made all of your selections, to paint again, all you need to do is click and drag in your image.
Like what you see? Pick up your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.